and children who are below 20 kg, even a higher dose. This is due to the volume of the children. Those who are below 20 kg, they have a higher extracellular plasma. So they have higher plasma relative to that of adults. So if you don't give higher doses, theirs will be diluted and it can hit therapeutic concentrations. That is why you are seeing 3.0, a higher dose as compared to even adults, those who are heavier than them. As for them, relatively, they have a lower plasma concentration. So you should top it up so that you can hit the therapeutic concentrations. With this, you are giving the drug at time 0. Then the second dose will be at 12 hours from the time 0. Then the third dose will be 24 hours from time 0. As for these 3 injections, whether you like it or not, once you are using artesunate IV for complicated malaria, you have to receive it, whether you hate injections or not. Since we are dealing with severe malaria, you are going to take it. Then from there, if we assess and it happens that you cannot tolerate oral medications or clinically you haven't improved enough for us to switch to oral medications, we are going to do it once every 24 hours. We give you 1 shot every 24 hours for a total of 7 days, including the first day. So you'll be doing the 1 daily shot for 6 more days. That will be added to the first day that you had your 3 shots. So the total duration will be 7 days. So 1 daily for 6 subsequent days, plus the initial day, the very first day that you took your first 3 shots. I repeat, the first day, the 3 shots is compulsory. You have to take it, be it IM or IV. From there, we assess. If you can take orals, meaning you have improved, then we switch to any of the first line ACTs. Then we go by their course, EL, AA, AP. We go by the course. If you can't, then for artesunate, we switch to 1 daily dose for additional 6 days, making a total of 7 days. Now, how is artesunate presented? So this one is on you. Wherever you are, be it a primary health care, tertiary or quaternary hospital, you've been using artesunate. In Ghana, malaria, and for that matter, severe malaria is everywhere. So class captain, give me 1 person. How is the reconstitution done? The person is presented with a 30 milligram vial, artesunate acid powder, and the bicarbonate. I'm even answering the question. So what do you have in the pack? If let's say you have 30 milligram as in artesunate acid, and you are presented with a pack, what and what do you have? And if you want to give it per IM. So somebody should take the per IV. What is the target concentration that you have to mix and get for IV? If you have, say, 30 milligram vial, and then if you want to go by IM for artesunate, what is your target concentration? So how are you going to mix it? What and what do you have in the pack? And how do you mix them so that you get an appropriate solution for the injection? Class captain, either you answer it or you give me somebody to answer.
Yes, please. Koja Anoche, could you kindly help us?
For which of them?
For the IV.
So you have a 30 milligram vial. What do you have in the pack? What will be your target concentration to prepare for IV? How do you mix the whole stuff? You reconstitute to get your solution for injection. IV.
Okay, so for the 30 milligram artesunate pack, We have the 30 milligram artesunate vial, and we also have the sodium bicarb. They all within the pack. So for the administration, for the reconstitution, for the 30 milligram vial, you have to draw zero point 0.5 ml of the sodium bicarb.
So what's your target concentration now before you continue? Because
So
before
we are
you start
supposed,
mixing, you should know your target concentration and try to explain the rationale behind each and every point, each and every step you explain.
okay, so with regards to the target concentration, we have, we are supposed to achieve 10 milligram of the artesunate per mil of the per mil of the total volume that we will attain. Then, so first of all, we have to mix the bicarb with the artesunate. So for the 30 milligram vial, we add 0.5 ml, we add 0.5 ml of the sodium bicarb to the artesunate powder.
Why
Then
do you
we,
do that?
sorry,
Because there is also, why do you do that? Why do you add the sodium bicarb to the artesunate powder?
hello,
The bicarbonate, because do that.
hello,
Only sodium bicarb and artesonic acid powder. Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
hello, sir. Please can you kindly repeat the
Can
question?
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
I'm saying that in the pack, you have the artesonic acid powder, you have the sodium bicarbonate, and you have normal saline. So
Yes, please.
why are you adding the bicarbonate to the powder? That's your
Okay,
first step.
okay. So for the first step, the reason why we add the bicarb to the artesunate acid is because the artesunate acid, even though it's soluble in water, unfortunately it has poor stability in water. So therefore, we have to dissolve it in a medium where it can be stable, so that we can add
Are you sure
the
it's soluble?
it's
It's not
insoluble. It's
soluble in
insoluble.
polar solvent.
It's insoluble. Yeah, that's what I said.
It's not. That is how come you
Yes.
yes. That is how come you want to produce the sodium salt of the artesunate. Basic chemistry, all sodium salt are soluble in water.
Yes.
And therefore, if you mistakenly add the normal saline first to the powder, it will precipitate. A precipitated mixture cannot be injected per IV, if even not per IM. You get it. So to
Yes,
make
please.
it soluble, you prepare the sodium salt. Artesonic acid is an acid, sodium bicarbonate is a base. So acid-base reaction, you produce a salt, sodium salt of the artesunate. All sodium salt. Okay,
Yes,
continue.
please. Okay, so we add the bicarb in order to form the sodium salt of the artesunate. Then we gently shake the mixture for 2 to 3 minutes in order to completely dissolve the artesonic acid and get a clear solution. Because if we shake and then there's still particles within the solution we form, if we administer that incompletely dissolved solution, it might cause we can cause the formation of emboli whilst doing the administration. So we have to ensure that the entire solution is dissolved before we proceed with the rest of the reconstitution process. And for the third step, with regards to the 30 milligram artesunate vial, we add 2.5 ml of normal saline to produce a final volume of 3 ml of the artesunate solution, of which this concentration is 10 milligram per ml. Then finally, we withdraw the.
Perfect. Perfect. So thank you very much. You've done well. Thank you. So that is how you do it. So in summary, the pack contains artesunate acid powder that is insoluble in polar solvents, including normal saline. So you are also provided with bicarbonate solution. For the 30 milligram vial, you are provided with 0.5 ml. So you first solubilize the sonic acid in the bicarbonate. It's just an acid-base reaction forming a sodium salt. So that the sonic acid will go into solution with the bicarbonate. So the 0.5 ml even after adding the powder. So for IV, your concentration that you want to prepare is 10 milligram per ml. For IM, you want to concentrate it because you don't inject high volumes per IM. The maximum volume that you can inject per IM is 20 ml or less. If you prepare any preparation for IM and it is more than 20 ml, then you have to inject or you can't inject. So for the IM, you concentrate it so that you reduce the volume. Hence, you do a high concentration, 20 milligram per ml. For IV, remember, you can even do 6 liters of infusion within a day. So you can give high volumes. And therefore, if you make it less concentrated as compared to the one for the IM, you can still administer. Hence, 10 milligram per ml. So once you have 0.5 ml containing the 30 milligram artesunate, you shake it, as he said, for the thing to dissolve. Then with your target of 10 milligram per ml, you already have a volume of 0.5 containing 30 milligram. So you want to have each ml of this solution containing 10 milligram. So what do? You have to raise the volume to 3 ml so that it will be 30 milligram in 3 ml. So the diluent, which is normal saline, you add 2.5 milligram, as you can see here, the first line. So 2.5 milligram a ml of normal saline, making a total of 3 ml. So 3 ml will now be containing 30 ml of the active ingredient, an inert diluent. So you have the volume going up to 3 ml, still containing 30 milligram. And if you break it down, you get 10 milligram per ml. So that is how you prepare it. It is always good to learn from first principles. So now, if you are presented with 60 milligram VAR or 120 milligram VAR, it's very simple. You just calculate for the factor. Once you multiply 30 by 2, you are getting 60. If you multiply 30 by 4, you are getting 120. So what it means is that the volumes that you added here, if you are presented with the 60 milligram vial, multiply through all the volumes by 2. And that will be the amount that you need for the set 1 ml of the bicarbonate. Then the 2.5 ml normal saline, you multiply by 2, you get 5 ml. If you have this on this one, any queries on this one? All right, and note that if you don't have normal saline, 5% dextrose is also isotonic, so you can use it. To maintain isotonicity, we don't want to use water for injection to cause a lot of either hypotonic preparation or hypertonic preparation. No, we don't want that. So it is better we use only isotonic preparations, either normal saline or dextrose saline. And remember, this is for IV. So for IV, you can use a dextrose containing agent. If it is for IM, you can use a dextrose containing agent. Dextrose is acidic, and if you inject the acid into the muscle, it will bend the muscle. It will cause necrosis. So for diluent for IM, do not use dextrose. That one you need to get normal saline by all means. But if it is the IV, then you can use 5% dextrose, which is also isotonic. Any issue, class captain?
Please,
Class
no
captain, any
issue.
issue? All right, so then let me take the one for the IM. So the IM, we said our target concentration is to get 20 milligram per mil. Still, the 0.5 mil bicarbonate comes with a pack, so that one you can't change it. Normal saline, apart from the one in the pack, you can even have more at the dispensary. So again, you prepare the sodium salt of the artesonic acid by adding your 0.5 mil of bicarbonate to the artesonic acid powder. You shake it again to get your clear solution, 2 to 3 minutes. You still have 30 milligram in 0.5 mil. So how much of the normal saline would you add such that the final volume, if you pick each mil, you'll get 20 milligram. So you only need to raise it to 1.5 mil. So if you raise it to 1.5 mil, then you do the proportion, you realize that each mil will contain 20 milligrams. So once you raise it to 1.5 mil by adding 1 mil of normal saline, the final volume will be 1.5 mil containing 30 milligrams. So therefore, 20 milligram will be contained in how much? So 20 over 30 times 1.5 mil, and you are going to get 19.99999, approximately 20 milligram per mil. Here again, note the factor. You multiply by 2, you get 60. You multiply by 4, you get 120. So multiply through here by the same factor. So 0.5 by 2, you get the values here, 1 mil, 2 mil. 1 mil times 2, you get 2 for the 60 milligram. 1 mil times 4, you get 4 for the 120 milligram. Over here, since it is for IM, you can't use a dextrose containing agent. You don't inject dextrose that is acidic per IM. So you are obliged to use normal saline. You need to find normal saline. Any question? Any question? So now you know how to mix it. You know how to mix it to get the required concentrations for either IM or IV. But remember, based on the weight of the patient, you may calculate and get the dose. But the dose may be such that you don't get a round figure. Let's say 30 milligram or 60 milligram. You may get something like 60.5 milligram or 110. That you can have one valve. Then you take the required dose.
Hello, Doc. Please, can you repeat that again?
Need based on the person's weight. You calculate for the number of hours. Okay, so at times you realize that per the weight of the patient, you calculate, and then the patient may need a certain dose that you can't get exactly any vial of artesonic acid powder containing that dose. Let's say you have done your calculation and the patient needs 40 milligram dose. The available strength are 30, 60, and 120. So you can't get 40 milligram vial. You get it. So it means that in that case, to prevent losses, then you may have to use 2 of the 30 milligram or 1 of the 60 milligrams. If you do that, it also means that you are preparing in excess, because the patient doesn't need 60 milligram, the patient needs 40 milligram. But because you don't have 40 milligram vial, you are preparing in excess. And it means that after you have prepared, there should also be some means to take from the volume that will contain the exact 40 milligram that your patient needs. So it is important to know, as per the weight that detect the dose, the number of vials as per the available strength that you have, that you need to prepare the dose, And afterwards, should in case you prepared in excess, there should also be a means to calculate for the exact volume that will contain the exact dose that the patient needs, then you give it. Else, you are going to give underdose or overdose. Is it clear?
Yes, please.
Hello? All right. So then there is this formula to calculate for the number of vials required, and this depends on the strength of the vial that you have. So you could have 30 milligram vial, 60 or 120, depending on the weight of the patient. So if it's an adult, based on adult or pediatrics below 20, you do your calculations. So this is the formula. So the number of vials required is equal to the numerator is the weight of the patient times the dose. And the dose is either 2.4 or 3 multiplied by the weight. So this is the numerator, the weight of the patient times the dose, divided by the strength of the vial that you have. So if it is the 30 milligram vial that you have, then the denominator will be 30. If it is the 60 milligram vial that you have, then the denominator will be 60. If it is 120 milligram vial that you have, then the denominator will be what? 120. So after your calculation, let's say you may get the 30 milligram vial, you may get maybe 2.5 vials. You can have the 2 vials, but you can't have the half vial. So what you do is to prepare in excess. So you use 3 vials. So the moment you use 3 vials, remember that the patient actually need 2.5 vials of the 30 milligram, but not 3 full vials. So whatever preparation that you are doing, it means you are preparing in excess. So you pick 3 of the 30 milligram vials, then you go through these, each of them. You go through this. So it means at the end of the day, each vial will be containing 3 mils, 3 mils, 3 mils. So you have 3 of these, a total of 9 mils. But remember, your patient doesn't need half vials, and therefore you can't give all the 9 mils to your patient. So then you will need to calculate out of the 9 mils how much the exact volume that your patient will need that will contain the exact
Hello. Hello, Dr. German. Please, we can't hear you.
the denominator changes to the concentration that you prepare depending on the route that you want to go. So if you are going by the IV, since you prepared 10 milligram per ml, the denominator you put 10 there. Milligram per ml, the denominator will be 20.
Your line
But the
keeps
numerator,
breaking, so it's hard to follow.
sorry. Is it better? Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I'm saying that once you prepare in excess, it means that your final 3 times 3 mils, which is 9 mils that you get, you can't give all because your patient actually needs 2.5 vials. But since you can't get half a vial, you decided to use 3 vials. It means you are preparing in excess. And therefore, each of them, for the 30 milligram vial, you are going to get 3 mils, 3 mils, 3 mils. You can't give all the 3 mils. So how do you know the exact volume that you take from the 9 mils that will contain the exact dose that this your patient needs? There is another formula for that. So the volume required after you have prepared the mixture is still the weight of the patient times the dose. Remember, you are going to consider this. So the dose could be 2.4 or it could be 3, depending on the patient you are dealing with per these parameters. But here, the denominator will change. The denominator will be the route that you want to go. If you are going by IM, since you prepared 20 milligram per ml solution for IM, the denominator will be 20. If you are going by IV, since you prepared 10 milligram per ml, the denominator will be 10. So the weight times the dose divided by the concentration that you prepared as per the route of administration. 10 for IV, 20 for IM. So after that, you will know the exact volume. Then you realize that since you prepared in excess, it will be a certain volume lower than 9. So you take that exact volume, you take everything. So maybe you take the first 2, 3 mils, because obviously the person needed 2.5. So 2 out of the 3, you pick all, so 6 mils. So it is the third vial that you are not going to take all. Then you take the amount that you need to add onto the 6 to get the exact volume. Then you inject per IV according to this rate. So it's a slow IV at a rate of 3 to 4 mils per minute. Slow IV at a rate of 3 to 4 mils per minute. So you could be getting maybe 12 mils, a total of 15 mils. Once you have 12 mils, then it means you can go by, let's say, 4 mils per minute. So it means you are injecting it over 3 minutes. Every minute, 4 mils will go. Every minute, 4 mils will go. So if it is 12 mils, a total of 3 minutes, everything will be off. If it is 16 mils, a total of 4 minutes, everything can go. That is how you inject artesunate per IV or per IM. Any queries? Any queries? Vice Captain.
Please, no queries.
Hello. Okay, so straight to artemeter. Artemeter, remember we said it is oily in nature, so no IV. It is solely IM. So you give a loading dose of 3.2. Okay, before I proceed. So for this, you do this, and unfortunately for artesunate, after you have done the reconstitution, it can be stable for only 1 hour. So it's not one of the solutions that the amount that is left, you can keep and use it for the second dose, which will occur in 12 hours time. You can't keep it. So whatever that is left, you need to discard, because as per the 3 doses, you are doing times 0, 12 hours and 24 hours. So it means you need to make sure that the leftover will not be that much to be causing a lot of losses. So you need to prepare by using the required strength such that you don't waste the materials, because you can keep it for only 1 hour, and 1 hour you are not going to, unless you have another patient that you want to give it to. But the same patient, the next dose is 12 hours time. So you need to discard. Now, if you are injecting, then you do the first 3 doses, as I've been saying. And after a day, the patient gets better, you switch to the orals. If not, from the last dose, which is the 24 hours from the first dose, if the last dose was 10 a.m., it means the next day, 10 a.m., you inject once. The next day, another 10 a.m. So till the patient gets well, or if the patient doesn't improve, you can do the injection subsequently, 24 hourly, for a total of 7 days. So the first day that you give 3 doses will be day 1. You can do 6 additional days, but that one will be once a day, 24 hourly, from the 3rd dose. Once you hit 7 days for artesunate, you are done with the full course. The patient is expected to be clear from the parasite. Now, artemeter, you give a loading dose per IM, it is oily, which is 3.2 milligram per kilogram body weight. Then 24 hours later, you switch down to half of the loading dose, which is 1.6 milligram per kilogram body weight. Should in case the person gets better after the first loading dose and can tolerate orals, all clinical parameters better now, then from the first dose, you can switch to the ACTs for the person to complete the full course of the ACTs. But should in case the patient doesn't get better, that is when you switch from the 3.2 to 24 hours time, 1.6. Should in case the patient never gets better, then you are going to repeat the 1.6 milligram per kilogram body weight 24 hourly for a total of 5 days. So for artemether, you are doing a total of 5 days, including the loading dose. So the loading dose is day 1. Then you do the 24 hourly 1.6 for 4 additional days to make a total of 5 days. This is how you use it. Remember, in severe malaria, where you have a lot of inflammation, you have not even in children alone, because during shock, blood is concentrated towards vital organs, the heart, the brain, to areas like, and therefore, if you inject the drug per IM, you are not going to get adequate bioavailability because of reduced blood flow to the muscles, and therefore, it's not generally recommended. That is why, if you are to see all the hierarchy, artemether is low down there. Almost all the time, you see artemether down there. You can see artemether all the way down here. So artesunate IM IV will come, then artemether, because of the IM nature. Though it is artemisinin, very effective, can reduce the parasite load swiftly, but the route of administration doesn't make it one of the best. But should in case you are pushed to the wall and that is the only available agent, you just try it. Any question? Any question? Class captain, can I go on?
Please, can you take that question
Yes,
again?
please.
Hello?
Please, can you take the artemether side?
You have a
My
question?
that your line kept on breaking, so I didn't hear the artemether administration again.
Artemether what? Yeah, I'm saying that in general, in conditions where the patients get into shock, where there is severe inflammation, you get limited supply to areas like the muscles, because blood is concentrated towards vital organs like liver, heart, kidney, and brain. So if you inject into the muscles, because of inadequate blood flow to the muscles, the bioavailability will be reduced and it may not work as required. And therefore, in general, IM injections during acute situations like this is not preferred. That is how come you see artemisinin, though artemether, though being an artemisinin, it is still down below the pecking order. You can see all the time artemisinin is down here. Even the rectal route of artesunate is better. You can see IM, because of the route of administration and the severity of this type of malaria, it is not the preferred agent. And that will be the one to go. Any other question? If not, quinine. So for quinine, it goes with amodiaquine in terms of the maximum dose, 600 milligram cutoff point. Regardless of your weight, if you are to take more than 600, we can't give the all route oral IM IV is 600 milligram. Now, if in case you don't have any of the artemisinins, then quinine becomes the choice. But in between the two, IV, IM, the IV route is first line. If you can't locate a vein, then you do the IM. Here again, one key thing about quinine is that you don't inject quinine undiluted. Never inject quinine undiluted. You do that, trouble. There will be severe hypotension and you may lose the patient. And never give quinine per bolus administration. Never. Quinine is always about slow administration, whether IV or IM. So these two about quinine you must note. Quinine must always be diluted before administration, else hypotension. Administration is always by slow IV. Please always do that. So then, depending on the route that you are going, quinine 2 no, depending on the age of the patient. If you are going per IM, we prepare different concentrations for adults and different concentration for pedics. For pedics, you dilute it to get 50 milligram per ml. For adults, 100 milligram per ml. Quinine normally comes in a strength of 600 milligram per 2 ml. 600 milligram per 2 ml. And if you are going IM for adults, you dilute it with normal saline to a concentration of 100 milligram per ml. Children, 50 milligram per ml. But let's first look at how you administer it per IV. So as I said, per all route, the dose is the same, 10 milligram per kilogram body weight. So this time we are going by the IV route. For the IV route, it is recommended that the dosage interval will be 8 hourly. And since we can't give it undiluted, depending on the patient's weight, you calculate the dose by multiplying the patient's weight by 10 milligram. Whatever dose that you get, you pick a solvent or a diluent, either dextrose saline or 5. The amount of the diluent that you can take is between 5 to 10. To remember it, just make it easy for yourself. The dose is 10, so pick the upper limit, 10 ml per kg. So it is 10-10, 10 milligram per kg for the drug, 10 ml per kg for the diluent. Very simple. So you also multiply 10 ml by the weight of the patient, and that will be the total volume of the solvent that you are going to put your active ingredient in. Remember I said quinine comes in a strength of 600 milligram per ml. So should in case the person's weight is say 60 kg, you calculate and you get 600 milligram. It means you are taking all the 2 ml. Incorporate the strength. 2 ml contain 600 milligram. Then you can put it in a bag of dextrose saline or 5% dextrose. Per the range, 5 to 10 ml per the person's body weight. It means you can use 500 ml and you still fall within the volume required. So put all the 600 milligram, which is 2 ml, you inject it into the 5 and 500 ml, either dextrose saline or 5% dextrose. You shake it very well for it to mix. Then you infuse it over 4 to 8 hours. Slow IV, 4 to 8 hours. Even if you are to spread it to 8 hours, remember the next dose will be 8 hours time. That is 8 hourly. But you can do it. You repeat the next dose. You do that one for 4 hours, and so 8 hourly. Each time out of 7 days. Yeah, hello?
Dr. German, please come again with
Hello?
the strength of quinine.
That is 2 ml containing 600 milligram.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm saying that should in case the patient weight, the patient is taking all the 2 ml because the 2 ml contain 600. So in order to remember, as per the dose and then the volume of the diluent required, just take the upper limit of the diluent volume required, 10, because it will match with 10. So 10 milligram per kilogram body weight for the drug, 10 ml per kilogram body weight for the diluent. And I'm saying that per the range, it means that this patient, you can take all the 500 ml back of either dextrose saline or 5% dextrose. Then you put all the 2 ml in. You shake it very well. You infuse over 4 to 8 hours. So you can infuse it over 4 hours. But remember, the frequency is 8 hourly. So it is 10 milligram per kilogram body weight. In this, that is, should in case the patient does not recover. But even if the patient recovers, the first 3 doses, which is quinine IV, So quinine IV dose 1, dose 2, dose 3, 8 hourly, the person will have to take. It doesn't matter whether the patient gets well or not. If the patient improves, you can switch to the oral ACTs. If the patient doesn't improve, then you continue with the injectables. Even here, if the patient improves, you can also switch to the oral quinine, but the ACTs first. That is how it is done. Never do a rate that is more than 5 milligram per kg per hour. That is why we are doing this slow IV rate, 4 to 8 hours. As I said, quinine should never be given by IV bolus, because if you do that, there may be severe hypotension. This is how you do it for IV. Let's look at how you do it for IM. How do you
Sir,
do it for
please.
IM?
We want
Remember,
some
IM, you are...
clarification. Sir,
Hello?
sir, please, I just want to clarify something.
Hello?
Sir, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, so you're
Yes, I
saying
can
that
hear you.
for quinine for day one you can do the 8 hourly. Then if the patient is still not okay, you now switch to the other injectables like the artesunate, right?
It's still not okay. No. It's still not okay. No. I'm saying that as per the hierarchy, quinine is down there. So, of course, if your patient needs treatment for severe malaria, by the time you hit quinine, then it means that all the other options are either not available or they are not applicable. But once it gets to the point where you want to use quinine, same recommendations for the others. We are saying at least for the first 24 hours, you should be on IV injectables for severe malaria. So for quinine 2, you are doing your first 24 hours, which will be what? 3 doses, because the dose is what? 8 hourly. So if you do your first 24 hours and maybe the patient gets better, can now tolerate, then you can stop and switch to the oral ACTs as recommended, or even oral quinine. But should in case the person never gets better, then you are doing the 8 hourly injection for a total of 7 days for quinine. Are you okay?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Right.
Hello, Doc.
Any other question?
Hello, Doc.
IM. Dextrose is acidic.
Hello.
You can, since you are injecting into the bloodstream, you can inject dextrose and nothing will occur. So we were using dextrose saline or 5%
Hello.
dextrose. Once you switch to IM, no dextrose. Yeah, hello?
Hello, Dr. Jaman. Please, someone wants to ask a
Hello?
question.
Oh, okay. Please,
Hello,
your
Doc.
question.
Yes. So if the patient go
Yes, sir.
weighs, so supposedly the patient you are attending to that requires the quinine weighs around 70 kg. Therefore, the dose that per the dose that we are to administer, we are supposed to give the total of 700. So for patients whose weight will cause them to go beyond the maximum daily dose of maximum dose per administration of 600 milligram, what do we do for them?
Last week, did you join the class?
No, please.
Did you join the class on last week?
No, please.
Yes,
I had
because
a time
I
again.
kept on repeating that. Okay, so I repeated that one over 10 times. We are saying that the maximum dose is 600 milligram. So per your weight, if it is required that we give you more than 600 milligram, we can't. We are sorry. So the cutoff point is what? 600 milligram, regardless of your weight. Same applies to amodiaquine. So if you weigh a certain, as in you have a certain weight that we are to give you more than 600, your dose will be 600. We can't give you anything more than 600. Are you okay?
Yes, please. Thank you.
All right. So do not do diluent that contains dextrose for IM. The dose and the regimen is still the same. 10 milligram per kilogram body weight every 6 hours. Here to first day, you will complete your 3 doses. Subsequently, the continuation of the IM depends on whether you get better or not. If you fail to improve, we are going to continue for a total of 7 days. If you improve, we may switch you to the ACTs or oral quinine. Now, as I said, we have different concentrations depending on the age. So for adults, we prepare 100 milligram per ml with normal saline, preferred than water for injection. In pediatrics, we prepare 50 milligram per ml. Remember that the strength is still 2 ml containing 600 milligram. So if you are preparing for a child and your target concentration is 50 milligram per ml, you have a lot of normal saline there in excess. Your concentrated quinine preparation is every 2 ml containing 600 milligram. How do you manipulate this, the normal saline and the quinine injection, to prepare a final solution that contains 50 milligram per each ml? So you can pick 1 ml from the quinine injection, and that will be 1 ml containing 300 milligram. This one. In 300 milligram. Then you add 5 ml of your normal saline. Normal saline doesn't come with any quinine. It is just a diluent. To move the final volume to 6 ml. So now you have 6 ml diluted quinine solution containing 300 milligram. If you are to break it down, then you will have each ml containing 50 milligram. So that is how you prepare it. Pick 1 ml from the quinine injection. That will contain 300 milligram. Add 5 ml of your normal saline, making a total volume of 6 ml. So now you have 6 ml still containing 300 milligram. And from this, when you pick each ml, it will contain 50 milligram. Now, depending on the weight of the child, you calculate and you get the dose. Remember, each ml contains 50 milligram, the preparation that you have now. If per the dose or per the weight of the patient, the child is supposed to have from the diluted solution more than 3 ml. Let's say the child weight has it that you give 4 ml. 4 ml means that the child weight has it that you have to give 200 milligram. And 200 milligram, each ml contains 50. So 4 times the 50 will be 200. So 4 ml is what you are going to give. Once the final volume that you are going to inject in children is more than 3 ml, it is recommended that you do not inject all the volume at one site. Once the final volume, as per the dose, is more than 3 ml, you divide into 2, inject half into 2 different sites. So for example, the anterolateral thigh, your 2 thighs, the front, the sideways, you inject now 2 ml one site per IM, then the remaining 2 ml one site another. But if per the weight, the final volume that will contain the dose is 3 ml or below, then you are free to inject all at one site. So if let's say the dose required is 150 milligram, it means you are going to get 3 ml because each ml contains 50. You can inject all the 3 ml at one site. If the child needs 100 milligram, that will be 2 ml. You can inject all the 2 ml at one site. For adults, the cutoff point is 5 ml. It's per the weight. Now for adult, what you do is to pick all the 2 ml and you add 4 ml of the diluent. pick all the 2 mils, which will contain 600 milligram, add 4 mils of the diluent. So you now have 6 mils containing 600 milligram. You break it down, you get 1 mil per 100 milligram. That is the target concentration for adults. Now, for adults, depending on the weight, let's say the adult demands 600 milligram, then it means you are going to adult. The cutoff point is 5 mil. Hello? Hello?
Hello, Dr.
Hello?
Ajaman, please. Dr. Ajaman.
Yeah. Do you have any question? Yes, please.
Please come again. For the adults.
Your line is breaking. Yeah, the adults, your target concentration is 100 milligram per mil. You are still using the same quinine, 2 mils containing 600 milligram. So how do you manipulate and then get your 100 milligram per mil? You are picking all the 2 mils. That means you are picking all the 600 milligram. Then you add 4 mils of the diluent. 4 mils of the diluent, making a total volume of 6 mils containing 600 milligram. You break it down, you get your 1 mil containing 100 milligram. Is it okay?
Yes, please.
Then, the weight. If you are to give 600 milligram, then it means you are going to give all the 6 mils of the diluted solution. But for adults, the cutoff point is low. So if you are to give 500 milligram, then it's 5 mils. That one you can inject at one site. But in this patient we are talking about, you have to give 600 milligram. That will be what? 6 mils. Since 6 is higher than 5, you can't give it at one site. So once it is more than 5 mils, you divide into 2 and you inject into different sites at your lateral thigh. So 3 mils here, 3 mils there. Then you are done with your quinine. Same recommendations. First 3 doses of Bejasheno. Subsequently, you assess. And if it is possible for you to switch to orals, you switch. If not, you are going to continue on for a total of 7 days. That is how we give quinine. Remember the main side effect of quinine, tinnitus. So these ringing sounds that you may hear in the patient's ears, that is tinnitus. It's very common with quinine, and possibly hypoglycemia, because quinine is a secretagogue. Quinine is a secretagogue. It can cause the release of insulin. So some of these issues, never do it per bolus. Never give quinine undiluted. Any question? So time is up. We still couldn't finish. I was hoping that we could finish. So next week, because I have to get ready for the other group. Next week, we will start with the supportive care. When we are done, then we will start one of those short topics. I don't know whether, I think enteric fever is that short. So we can do this and clear that one too. We can't waste a whole day on enteric fever. Yes, I'll look at one short topic that we can do this and add that one too, so that we don't waste the whole day. Class captain, any question? So next week when we come, we will look at supportive therapy, the hyperparaxia, the anemia, the convulsions, the renal issues, the what have you, and then look at the public health measures to prevent malaria. We are going to look at all those things, transmission, reduction, and what have you. Class captain.
Hello.
Any announcement?
No announcements, please.
Any announcement, any issue? Else we end today's class. Unfortunately, we couldn't finish. Next week we'll finish and start another topic. All right. So if there are no further questions, then thank you very much for the opportunity. We meet same time next week. Bye-bye. Enjoy your weekend.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Bye, sir.